this is Rose Gold, and today we're going to be getting into What If Goku and Turles were twins. Now, this is a collab with another What If YouTuber called Vegan Zane, and he made part 2, which you can find in the description. You can also find his channel in the description, so please go ahead and watch his video after watching this one and show some support. But without further ado, let's get straight into part 1. On a planet far away from planet Earth, a man and a woman were walking by each other. The man was carrying a space pod, whilst the woman was carrying two babies. The man had a very spiky hair, black hair, and was carrying the rather large space pod with ease, whilst the woman, who didn't have as spiky hair, was carrying two babies with spiky black hair, which was exactly like their fathers. These children were about to get sent off to a distant planet named Earth, as the man, named Wardock, had suspicion of the evil Emperor ruling over them, as the Emperor, named Frieza, seemed to have a strong dislike for the race, often demeaning them as mere monkeys because of their monkey-like tail. However, that tail had a lot more meaning to it than just a simple animal's tail. This tail gives the race, named Saiyans, the ability to transform into giant monkeys called Ozaru, with their power increasing tenfold. But their power is still nothing to Lord Frieza, which was quite stressful as Bardock had a suspicion that Frieza was going to blow up their entire planet, killing their entire race. So he convinced his wife, named Gine, to send their two newborn sons, Kakarot and Turles, to planet Earth. They didn't need to worry about their oldest son, as he was with the king's son, Vegeta, on another planet fulfilling a mission. So now they just had to send these two away. Putting the space pod down, Bardock opened the door and let Gine put their sons inside, making them comfortable until, after a quick goodbye, sending them off to Earth, not knowing that this was the start of great adventures and fights. The space pod landed on Earth, creating a massive crater. An old man was passing by on his usual evening walk, until stumbling onto the pod, and, after opening it, saw two babies inside. Both had spiky hair identical to each other in almost every way, although the other one was slightly paler. The paler boy was hitting the other kid on the arm as he was laughing, whilst the other kid was sitting back, laughing as well. The old man picked the two children up and was now their sole parental figure. On the other hand, Planet Vegeta had been destroyed. We skip ahead a bit, until one day the two children were play fighting with each other, and one of them fell off a cliff, and the second one jumped after him without realizing that he did, and one of them hit his head on a rock, whilst the other one landed head first in a waterfall. They both had severe head injuries, although the paler one's fall seemed to have been less severe than the tanner boy, but they both still had some memory problems afterward, and they both became much easier to handle and less hostile once they had healed. We skip ahead a few years. Grandpa Gohan had perished due to an attack from a monster that only came out during the full moon. And now the Mortan boy, that Gohan named Goku, and the paler boy, named Turles, as he had retained memory of his name, had been praying to the Dragon Ball their grandfather had left them. Until suddenly a bike crashed into Goku after they both stopped uh, praying and they went fishing. But Goku didn't even flinch. Turles walked over, hearing the commotion, and saw a blue-haired woman step out of the bike, and Turles looked her up and down. Was this a woman like Grandpa Gohan had told them about? He walked up to her and bowed until helping Goku lift the vehicle, throwing it into the distance, screaming, "Get away from us!" Goku was at the power level of around 15 right now, and Turles was at 16. So together they were able to throw the vehicle away with relative ease, but the woman, with a bright pink shirt with the letters Bulma in capitals on it, shouted at them for ruining it, until sighing and continuing on with them. As the raider had pinpointed the location of the Dragon Ball. Bulma was pretty weirded out by these two boys, as the right one, Goku, was carrying a very large fish, and the left one, Turles, was also carrying a large fish, but it was slightly larger than Goku's. These kids were not normal at all. As they got to the two kids' hut, Bulma was slightly surprised. It was incredibly small, and right in the middle was a sort of shrine, with the shiny orange Dragon Ball presented on it, and Bulma was delighted. She hadn't thought it was that easy, and she ran toward it with a hungry expression. But as she stretched out her hand to touch it, Turles slapped her hand away, and both Goku and Turles stared at her with an expression of deep disgust in Turles' case, and anger in Goku's case. This ball was the only thing their beloved grandpa was able to leave them, so they weren't just gonna let her touch it like that. But after talking for a while, they agreed to let her have it, but there was one special condition. Goku and Turles were coming with her, and only both of them were allowed to keep the Dragon Ball on them. As you know what happens next, I'm just gonna skip the rest of OG Dragon Ball. Although I'll leave a quick recap. Everything is much easier. Turles and Bulma get together after the time skip. Turles and Goku manage to beat King Piccolo, but he still had time to spit out an egg, so Kami did not perish. But now let's move on. We skip ahead to the start of Z. Goku and his wife Chi-Chi had a son. They decided to call Son Gohan to honor their grandfather. They also had a house in the East District where Gohan was growing up right now. Goku was a much better father and man in general. Turtles had influenced him a lot, but he was still a bit childish, and his main goal was still training. Suddenly, the door opened as Goku stepped out carrying his son. Son Gohan was wearing a red hat with the four-star Dragon Ball perched upon it, and suddenly the two hopped onto the flying Nimbus and headed over to, not Turtle Island, but somewhere else. As the two flew over the city, a very large building became more visible by the second, until they stopped at its entrance, meeting Turles and getting him on the flying Nimbus as the four arrived at the island. Now you might be thinking, why four? It's only Goku, Turles, and Gohan on there. But you'd be mistaken. Turles has a son as well, named Trunks, and he was very similar to Gohan in terms of facial features. However, he had purple hair. Bulmer had already arrived at the island and was about to scold Turles for being so late, but she held herself back as Krillin ran up to the both of them, hugging them tightly until realizing they both had kids, which shocked him. He hadn't even had a girlfriend, and these two were already having kids? How unfair! But he didn't have a lot of time to idly chat and sit around, as behind both Turtles and Goku, there appeared a man with long spiky hair and a weird armor. As Goku and Turles turned around, the stranger explained he was their brother and had been looking for them. Also, how disappointed he was that they hadn't wiped out the planet. Turles and Goku were both surprised and rather weirded out. The stranger came here, said he was their brother, and now this? What the hell? Raditz was dumbfounded at the look of shock on their faces. Then he told them that was not how a Saiyan was supposed to act. Once again, Turles and Goku were weirded out. Saiyans? They were humans. Raditz proceeded to explain everything to them, but Goku refused to go with them and so did Turles at first, although there seemed to be a bit of hesitation in his voice. Raditz was infuriated now. How dare they? Suddenly Raditz took hold of Gohan, then told them if they didn't comply, the little one was going to have his head chopped off, and that they had a day. Turles and Goku were infuriated. This was one of their only relatives, and one they both loved dearly, so they went after him. But then they realized something. Raditz was far beyond them in power, so they needed backup. That they got with Piccolo, who had grudgingly agreed to partner with them, so they went after Raditz. The fight began as soon as they arrived, but it was surprising going in Goku and the others' favors, as their power levels were higher than in canon. Goku being at 500, closely followed by Turles at 490, and last was Piccolo at around 450. As the fight became easier and easier, Turles will will to help his twin and his planet was weakening, seeing Raditz putting up such a valiant effort. Then, after thinking about it for a while, joined Raditz in the fight. Goku was shocked and got hit by Raditz square in the face, and Piccolo was knocked to the ground as well. Turles' lust for power was too great to keep under control, so now he had decided to just follow it and go with his older brother. But inside his soul, there was still it was still very conflicted, so he let out Gohan. Then both Raditz and Turles left into space, leaving Goku there with Gohan. But now Goku's will was strong. He was going to get Turles back to their side, no matter what. So I hope you all enjoyed this part, and remember to check out part 2 in the description, and subscribe to Vegan Saiyan and me, of course. But this was your boy Rose Gold, and I am out.